All right, let's just dive right into a completely absurd question. What would happen if Earth got hit with a magnitude 15 earthquake? I mean, that's a question so extreme it basically breaks the word catastrophe. And honestly, I love it. Let's get into it. Yeah, just take a second with that. A magnitude 15. We're not talking about a 5 or even a monster of a 9. 15. What in the world would that even look like? What could it possibly feel like? Well, you're about to find out. Okay, so for a little perspective, right? The biggest, baddest earthquake we've ever recorded happened in Chile, way back in 1960. That was a magnitude 9.5, an absolutely staggering, landscape-changing event. But the earthquake we're imagining today, it's not just a little bit stronger, we're talking billions, with a capital B, billions of times stronger. The scale it's just completely mind-bending. So you might be asking, how is that even possible? Well, it all comes down to how we measure these things, on what's called the moment magnitude scale. And here's the key thing you got to understand. This isn't like a ruler, where 2 is just 1 more than 1. No, it's logarithmic. And that fancy word just means that every single step up is a huge, gigantic leap in raw power.
And this is where it gets absolutely insane. For every single whole number you climb on that scale, the energy that gets unleashed multiplies by about 32 times. So, a magnitude 8 isn't just a bit worse than a 7, it's 32 times more powerful. A 9 is 32 times more powerful than that. You can see how this gets out of hand, ridiculously fast.
So to really put this into perspective, let's look at a chart. Here's our record-breaking Chile quake. Pretty big. Next to that, the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. Whoa. Okay, that's a big jump. But the energy from our magnitude 15, it's not even on the chart. It's so ridiculously massive it would go right through the roof. We are talking thousands of times more powerful than the thing that killed the dinosaurs. Okay, I know. This is a super fun, if a little terrifying thought experiment. But let's pause for a second and ask the obvious question. We've established the energy is, apocalyptic. But could our planet, could our little blue marble actually make an earthquake this powerful all by itself? The short answer? No. Absolutely not. Not even close. And here's why. You could say our planet has some built-in safety features. See, the crust can only store up so much stress before the rocks just sort of give up. They start to bend and deform instead of snapping in this huge, violent way. But even more to the point, to release that kind of energy, you'd need a fault line, a crack in the Earth that would have to be larger than the entire planet. So yeah, you can breathe easy. This cannot happen naturally. Okay, so we're safe. But this is a thought experiment. We don't have to play by reality's rules. So let's get back to the fun part. What if all that energy just got zapped into our planet anyway, instantly, from who knows where? We're talking about an insane amount of energy, 10 to the 27th power joules. Now, that's a number so big it's hard to wrap your head around. So let's put it this way. That's almost enough energy to flash boil all of our oceans, every last drop. From the sunny surface to the darkest, deepest trench. Gone in an instant. So what happens next? Well, it's a pretty simple and horrifying recipe for total planetary sterilization. Step 1, you instantly melt the entire lithosphere. That's the whole rocky crust of the planet. Step 2, all those oceans we just mentioned, they flash boil into steam. Step 3, that massive steam explosion blasts our entire atmosphere right off into space. Which brings us to the final step, the immediate, instantaneous end of every living thing, the entire biosphere. Just gone. And let's be really clear here. We wouldn't even call this an earthquake. That word doesn't work anymore. There wouldn't be any shaking. This would be something else entirely. The phrase for it is thermodynamic annihilation. It's a complete, total reset button, turning Earth back into a glowing ball of molten rock. Okay, so magnitude 15 sterilizes the planet. Game over for life as we know it. But the planet itself is still there, right? It's just a hot, dead rock floating in space. So of course that leads to the next logical question. What would it take, not just to wipe the surface clean, but to blow the whole thing to pieces? Well, somebody did the math. And to actually overcome the massive gravitational force that holds our planet together, to literally unbind it, you'd need an energy release equivalent to a magnitude 18.4 earthquake. Yeah, and at that level of power, things get even more ridiculous. First, the planet's iron core, vaporized. The mantle, It explodes outward like a cosmic firework. All the pieces of our former planet would get shot into space faster than escape velocity, which means they're never, ever coming back together. Earth would just stop being a planet. It would become a brand new debris cloud, maybe a new asteroid belt. So, again, pretty terrifying stuff. But let's remember, Earth can't do this to itself. We're safe from ourselves. The thing is, our planet is just a tiny, tiny speck in a really, really big and violent universe. And the universe, it plays with a completely different level of power.
Just to give you an idea, back in 2004, astronomers saw a star quake happen on something called a magnetar. It's this super dense, supermagnetic dead star. The energy it blasted out was equivalent to a magnitude 23 earthquake. A supernova, a giant star exploding, that's around a magnitude 26.5. All of a sudden, our planet-shattering 18.4 looks like, well, it barely even makes a dent. I mean, just think about that for a second. That one single starquake from one weird star way across the galaxy released more than 1 million times the energy needed to completely destroy our entire planet. It's just humbling, isn't it?
So, what's the big takeaway from all this fun cosmic horror? Well, the good news is we are totally safe from our own planet tearing itself apart. So that's nice. But it's also a pretty wild reminder that the peaceful night sky we look up at is filled with forces so powerful they make our craziest, most destructive thought experiments look like a tiny little shudder. Which kind of leaves us with one last thought to chew on. Earth is safe from itself, but in the grand cosmic scheme of things, is anything really safe at all?